Hey everyone, this is Laura Robinson from the Chattanooga Area Food Bank. This is the Garden Network video for the beginning of October 2024. I just wanted to walk you guys around the garden and let you know where things stand here and how things are going. I'm starting here in one of our front beds. This is called Japanese mountain spinach. And as you can see, it looks pretty much like spinach. And I actually will go inside and look at the packaging to see, because I'm not sure how closely related they are. But it looks pretty much like the same thing. The one thing with this that I did notice is that it germinated really well even when it was still hot out. And typically, normal spinach does not do that. So this might be a good alternative for those of us who are trying to plant things that will last through the winter or the fall and the winter, but get them started when it's still pretty hot out. So that's something that I really liked about that. We also have a bed of carrots started. I believe I sowed these in August. So you can see they have some pretty good growth on them so far. Typically carrots get sweeter after the first frost, so I'll leave these in here until probably the middle of fall, even maybe early winter. And then I'll probably plant in here a type of cold hardy lettuce, which I have started in the greenhouse. Now's a good time to plant cilantro and dill, which are both pretty cold hardy, especially cilantro. I've had it die back in really, really hard freezes before and then just pop right back up. I shouldn't say germinate. They regrew from the roots soon after they died back completely. So that's a good time right now to get those in. I have a bunch of spinach up here, which is looking a little sad. But I started in the greenhouse and I'm planning to plant that out after I clear out a couple beds this week, which I'll show you. I have a bed of cabbage. Typically I don't like to plant a ton of cabbage because once you harvest it, then it's done. You just kind of get one harvest, although you can harvest some of the leaves off of it while you're waiting for the head to form. But I do like having it just for demonstration purposes. I have one bed of peppers left. These are kind of a small snack pepper, and then I think there's also one bell pepper in this bed. And they've been really productive. Luckily, the peppers have been productive this year because the tomatoes weren't and the green beans weren't over the summer. So the peppers were kind of the saving grace of the summer for me. Let's see, I have some Swiss chard. These are very tiny. Started, you can see also, I wanted to show you this. See how that seedling has been nibbled on? That's probably some kind of snail, slug, pill bug situation. And I use a product called Sluggo, and they come in these like little pellets that you shake. So I think I just need to shake some more around in this bed to kind of get control of that. Otherwise, all this is just going to be nibbled down. Same with the beets. I've tried starting beets about 3 or 4 times, and they seem to constantly be nibbled by something. So I finally put this netting over it because I thought maybe it was a rabbit or a squirrel. So we'll see if I finally get beets to germinate, but it's been kind of slow going. I have 2 beds of collards. These are the Georgia collards, and then the other one are called Alabama Blue, which are actually my favorite ones. Just for I think they all taste the same, but they're just really pretty. And collard greens are something that will overwinter pretty well here. I have a bed of broccoli. I planted multiple types, but then I mixed them all up, so I don't know which ones are which. But they have a pretty good start. And so the broccoli, collards, you'll see a couple beds of kale, a couple beds of lettuce. Those I all planted at the beginning of September. So this is after about a month of growth with them being outside. So just to give you kind of some context. I have a bed of carrots, which were sown maybe last week or the week before, that need to be thinned out. You can see they're coming up pretty strong. So usually what I do is I'll plant a bed of carrots and I'll do 3 rows, and then in the middle of the carrot rows I'll plant radishes, because radishes will grow fast, and by the time you harvest the radishes, then you'll have more room for the carrots to grow. It doesn't look like really many of the radishes germinated, so I'll have to re-sow those. I have a bed of mixed lettuce here, which I just harvested today for the first time. You can see like that one's been harvested around the bottom. But again, these have been in here for about a month, and we're already harvesting off of those. This is a new kale variety, which I'm excited to try. It's called 1,000 Head Kale. You can see how big some of these leaves are already. I mean, that's bigger than my hand. I only put 6 in a 4x8 bed. That might even be too much. They're supposed to get really big. So that'll be a fun trial to see how those do. I still have 2 beds of okra. I am not going to pull these out yet. Typically I would have, but we had a groundhog issue, and they came and kept nibbling the okra down, and so I'm finally just getting okra to harvest, and I just don't want to pull it out yet. So this is kind of that time of year where you have to decide if you want to keep things from the summer going, but then you forego the growth you could be getting on something that you put in for the fall. I have a bunch of cold hardy lettuce in the greenhouse just waiting to be put in the ground, so I'm not that worried about it. But if you don't have anything, any mature plants to put in, then I would probably pull out what you have left from the summer. That way you give your fall plants a time to root in before it starts getting cold. And we are about a month out from our first typical freeze date, which is at the end of October, early November. Here's another bed. This is kind of another example of interplanting radishes with something else. So I have scallions here, and then radishes, scallions, radishes, and then another row which should be scallions, which have been not germinated, so I need to re-sow those. But pretty soon, you know, the radishes are getting big already. We can harvest those and then leave room. Although scallions don't really need that much more room to grow than what they already have. But you know, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. You can interplant radishes with various things because radishes will grow up so fast. This is the other bed of collards, the Alabama blue, which I told you. So it just has a pretty kind of purplish stem, and then when it gets cold, the leaves kind of turn a bluish purple too, which is really pretty. I have 1 bed of kohlrabi, and if you aren't familiar with kohlrabi, it's related to cabbage and kale and broccoli and turnips and all the brassicas, but it has like a little above ground swollen stem that is the edible part. You can also eat the greens. So yeah, so those are growing here. There's my other bed of okra. This one is a Tennessee heirloom okra, and I really like it because it is red and it's easy to spot in between the leaves. I have dinosaur kale here, which today I went through and kind of cleaned it up and harvested some leaves. But this is my favorite kale to grow over the winter. It just seems to have less issues than some other kale that I've grown. It still seems to be really cold hardy, really productive. So this is probably my #1 choice of things to grow over the winter. I have another bed of lettuce back here. This is more of like a romaine style. So I'll probably have to harvest some of these heads sooner than later, and maybe I'll just put in some of the other lettuce that I have in the greenhouse. I don't know, I probably have showed you this before. This is holy basil, which you can see the pollinators just really love. I don't know if you can see all these The pollinators really love them. I think most people just use it for tea. I haven't really harvested much off of this, but it's a really pretty plant. It smells great. It's medicinal, and yeah, so I'd really recommend growing this next year if you think of it. I am trying to start, I sowed some peas. I don't know if you can see that. These are peas that are supposed to do well in the heat. I want to say they're called Walden or Waldo or Wando, something along those lines. And they germinated okay, so we'll see. I usually don't plant peas in the fall. I think they do better in the spring, but we'll see what happens with those. I have a couple other ones down here, but these are getting more direct sun, and so they're a little more stunted, whereas these are getting shade from the blackberry. If I step back, you can see there's a big blackberry vine. Those are getting a little more shade, so I think they like it a little bit better over there. And then here I planted leeks. Leeks and scallions do really great over the winter. I mean, you don't even have to really cover them. If you get snow, a hard frost, they're really great to have. So if you have room in a bed or need to fill a bed and don't want to worry about covering or worrying about anything over the winter, I'd highly recommend leeks and scallions. I do have one bed of sweet potatoes that are going to be pulled out this week. You have until the first frost to pull your sweet potatoes. But again, if you wait until the end of October or early November, then you're foregoing giving your fall crops a time to root in. So I usually pull mine out about early October. So that'll get pulled out. I also have, and I think I've showed you guys this before, I also have this kind of new to me plant. It's called, if I can even stand back to capture it all, it's called Job's Tears. And I don't know. I'm sure you can harvest it before they turn black, and there is some way to eat it. It seems, I mean, even these green ones seem really hard. So I'm not sure exactly how you would do that, but if you wait until they turn black, then you can harvest them and use them for decorative purposes. Apparently they were used as like jewelry in the past. So that's something that it's, you know, not necessarily the most useful in terms of eating, but still a really fun plant to grow. It was super easy to grow. You can see how big it is. I didn't fertilize it. I didn't do anything to it. I didn't have any pest issues. So it was a fun experiment. But I'm pulling that out this week and also planting spinach in this bed. And then I have another bed of Swiss chard here, which is much further along than my other bed and hasn't been nibbled down. So maybe I'll actually have one nice bed of Swiss chard. And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys, I don't know if I've showed this in past videos, but this plant is called a sunchoke. It is native to North America, related to sunflowers. It's a tuber, so the edible part is growing underground. And it kind of looks like a bumpy, small potato. I obviously haven't harvested it yet, but I will soon. And so it just started flowering, and it has these really pretty flowers. But if I stand back, you can see how tall it is. It is just huge. And that's just growing in a container. So I don't know what it would do if it was in the ground, but it is such a cool plant. If you have, you know, a big space to fill and you want to try something fun next year, I would recommend trying sunchokes. Okay, I think that's about it. I hope your summer ended well and your fall is beginning well. I know if you're in our area, you were really thankful for that big rain that we had from the hurricane last weekend. We got over 5 inches of rain at the garden, and it was so needed. So I hope you all are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.